Hey guys.
Hey guys.
So as you know, it's been almost exactly 1 year since Jin and I got this fabulous Hyundai Palisade. So we thought we would do a comprehensive 1-year review, including the good and the bad. So Jin, how's it feel to be a passenger in this car?
너무 편하고 좋아요. 근데 간혹 어떤 분들이 댓글로 왜 진은 운전을 안 하냐, 왜 웨이만 운전시키냐, 웨이가 운전기사냐 이렇게 불평불만 하시는 분들이 계신데, 여러분들은 저희가 영상 올릴 때만 보시잖아요. 누군가는 촬영을 해야 되니까 웨이가 운전하고 제가 카메라 들고 있는 거예요. 저도 미네소타 운전면허증이 있으니까 걱정하지 마세요. 저희는 한국에서 현대 산타페를 몰았고, 그 차로 한국의 거의 모든 명소들을 다 가봤고, 그리고 미국에서 첫 번째 로드트립으로 코나를 렌트해가지고 서부를 완전히 다 돌았고, 그리고 운이 좋게도 기아 텔러라이드에서 저희를 협찬해 주셔가지고 미네소타에서 워싱턴까지 왔다 갔다 거의 60시간 하고, 팰리세이드로도 워싱턴까지 60시간 왔다 갔다 하고, 그리고 오일 체인지를 하러 현대 딜러십에 가서 기다리는 시간 동안 새로 나온 신형 현대차들도 많이 테스트 드라이브 해봤어요. 그래서 저희는 이 현대차를 미국 그리고 한국에서 꽤 많이 타봤다고 그래도 어느 정도 말할 수 있을 것 같아요.
Okay, so in case you don't know, we have a Hyundai Palisade Calligraphy 2023. Personally, I really like the exterior of this car. I think it looks super masculine, which is my preferred car style, but I think it's so beautiful. Especially I love the headlights. It's like a very angry looking headlight, right? My first complaint about this car is somehow these lights are just too bright.
이게 이 차의 장점이자 단점이 될 수도 있는데, 이 차는 기본 라이트가 거의 하이빔 수준으로 엄청나게 밝아요. 그래서 미국에서 어두운데 시골 한적한 곳에서 운전하면은 마주오는 차들이 그 눈뽕하는 줄 알고 저희한테 이렇게 막 반격을 해요. 막 하이빔 끄라고. 그래서 그게 조금 아쉬운 것 같아요.
Also, the rims for our wheels. If I had to choose rims myself, I would choose something similar to this. I love the design and they've really held up. We're not like super gentle with this car. We've taken it everywhere in all types of terrains, including off-road, yet they still look perfect, no damage whatsoever. But Hyundai US, I have something I have to say. Why did you not make folding mirrors on the Palisade in the US? You have them on the Palisade in Korea? What about us here in America? You think we've got big parking spots? What if I want to parallel park on the street and I don't want someone hitting my mirror, huh? That's my one recommendation, please. Folding mirrors.
Yeah, I can fold it physically.
Okay, anyway, moving on to the side here. It looks cool. I mean, it's got some grandpa vibes. I think the Kia Telluride had a much sportier look from the side, and I think I prefer that, but it looks fancy. I feel like a rich grandpa when I drive this car. All right, next I want to talk about this interior. So you guys need to know that when we got this car, it was like a take it or leave it situation. We had no say over the actual car type, the trim, the color, the interior, nothing. It was just, if you want this car, you can buy it. So we did, and we ended up with the cream and navy interior. Many of you guys said to us, oh, you're gonna hate the cream leather because you wear jeans a lot, it's gonna stain. But I'm an everyday jean wearer. Not a single stain. It looks brand new still, maybe slightly over here, but otherwise, it's good. And it's held up super well. Next thing is I absolutely love this whole center console and dash area. I think it looks super clean. I love that it's like at a slight angle here. The knobs all feel really good. Some other cars that we've tested before, like when you shake them, they sound so creaky and cheap, but like there's no sound. It's really built very well. We have 0 scratches on anything. I think it's laid out super easily, especially like how conveniently placed is this stuff. Something I don't like as much in the Palisade, but I'm not complaining about, is this screen situation. The Telluride I thought looked super cool because they tried to make it seem like one whole panel, connected panel. This is 2 separate screens with this like plasticky piece. Not as cool looking, but it still does the job. You guys might be wondering about the gas mileage for this car since it's kind of a big honker. Right now it says our average is about 20 miles per gallon, but I've also been doing a lot of stop and go city driving recently. I'd say usually for our daily life purposes, we were averaging about 24 miles per gallon. And then when we do road trips, it's 27 up to 29 miles per gallon, which is way better than my old car, my 2007 Chevy Cobalt, and gas prices in Minnesota are super cheap. So to us, it's not a big deal, but it's a factor you guys should consider.
저희가 이 차를 사자마자 업그레이드 한 게 있는데 그건 바로 이 차량에 대시보드 캠, 그러니까 블랙박스를 설치한 거예요. 저희가 미네소타에서 사귄 친구 중에 변호사분이 있는데 그분이 이 블랙박스가 없으면 손해보는 일이 반드시 생긴다 그래서 이거 무서워서 달았어요. 참고로 그분 되게 쿨하신 분이니까 미네소타에 사시면서 변호사 필요하신 분 있으면 저희한테 연락 주세요. 제가 소개시켜 드리겠습니다.
Two complaints about being a driver of this car. I'll go quickly. The first one is at night when you're driving, the mirrors have some auto tinting feature, which is great, so you're not blinded by cars behind you. However, the tinting is so extreme that I lose all ability to judge distance between myself and other cars. So I wish there was some way to program the tinting to be less intense. Also, there's a safety feature that when you put your blinker on, a little camera pops up so that you can see your blind spot, which is great. However, if you're using your blinker, that means you're turning your car, right? And to turn your car, you have to turn the steering wheel. When you turn the steering wheel, you cannot see the camera. So it's pretty much pointless. I would have rather had the little video somewhere else, maybe the center dash somewhere where you can actually see it. Otherwise, I can't complain about this car. There are so many features I like the lane assist. Yeah, ooh, and the sound system. Jin doesn't listen to music, but I love music, so I blast stuff in this car. And you can't even hear it from outside. Nobody knows I'm listening to hardcore rap music, except for me.
저는 미네소타에 오자마자 운전면허 시험을 레이 오래된 차로 갔는데 그건 완전 매뉴얼이거든요. 그래서 주차할 때 굉장히 힘들었는데 이 차는 360도 버드뷰가 굉장히 잘 돼 있어가지고 주차가 무슨 그냥 치트키예요, 치트키. 이거 있었으면 진짜 운전면허 시험 진짜 완전 프리패스 하는 건데 이게 좀 아쉬워요.
A lot of you guys might wonder what the trunk capacity is like. So, hello and welcome to our trunk. One of the best things about this is the automatic folding seats. I've already got the third row folded down to show you, but this is a big trunk. Jin and I are tall, but we can lay comfortably in the back here. What we don't show you guys on our channel is when we're doing road trips, usually we don't film the coming home process. That's because Jin and I sleep in the trunk at gas stations and rest stops. We even bought a mattress for back here, and we have window covers so it gets completely dark. And I love it. I can't complain. If you're a car camping type of person, this is a really good car for that, I'm not gonna lie. And we can fit all the Costco groceries we want back here. It's great. So Jen and I both feel like Hyundai, Kia, Genesis are all sort of hidden gem brands. A lot of people in the US dismiss these brands thinking they're cheap, but in my opinion, I think they're really well built, but still affordable, which is a bonus in our book.
그리고 특히 저희가 2년 전에 여기 미네소타 왔을 때 제네시스가 거의 1년에 한 대 보일까 말까 했는데 요새는 거의 외출을 할 때마다 거의 한 대씩은 보이더라고요. 그래서 제네시스도 많이 이렇게 올라왔어요. 한국인으로서 한국 기업이 미국에서 이렇게 잘 나가고 있다는 것 자체가 되게 굉장히 자랑스럽고, 그리고 외화벌이를 하면은 되게 좋잖아요, 한국 경제에. 그래서 굉장히 자랑스럽게 생각하고 있긴 하지만, 근데 저희가 무조건 찬양하면은 발전이 없는 거잖아요. 그래서 저희가 미네소타에서 이 현대 팰리세이드를 1년 동안 끌면서 불편했던 점도 여러분들한테 소개하는 것이 공평할 것 같아서 이 영상을 제작하게 됐어요. 저희는 현기차가 미국에서도 더 잘 나갔으면 하는 바람이거든요.
So I think most Americans know Kia and Hyundai for their warranty. If an American is going to buy a Kia or a Hyundai, it's because of the 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty that covers everything. They're trying to buy that peace of mind because that's the best warranty out of any car brand in the country, right? That was also our opinion when we got this car. We felt very confident that this would be a car we can have for a long time, and we felt very secure with the fact that we would have this added protection of a warranty.
Because when we came here, your car broke, and we got $2,000 quote, right? So that's why I thought the warranty is the most important part, because we have no ability to fix this car. So warranty is really important for Americans.
Here's the thing that I would like to address, which I think is very important to bring up, because if you all are interested in purchasing a Hyundai or a Kia, this might be a big deciding factor for you. Jin and I bought this car at a dealership in Chicago, and we have also visited most of the Hyundai dealerships in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. So we know that what we're about to talk about is not limited to just 1 or 2 dealerships. It's kind of a widespread issue, at least in the Midwest. And it's unfortunate, but I think the customer service and the service centers could really use some retraining or something. So at this point, we have brought our car in for oil changes multiple times, and we also had a recall. Our first oil change was back in the summer. I want to briefly explain that situation. We signed up for an oil change and a tire rotation. They told us it was the last appointment of the day, which is totally fine. They did the oil change, and they said they did the tire rotation, but they lied about it. We marked our tires before we brought it in, and they didn't change it. But because it was the last appointment of the day, they kicked us out once the service was done, and they locked their doors and turned their lights off and just abandoned us, so we couldn't do anything about it. I had to call and complain, and they said they would just do a tire rotation later, which it is what it is. Maybe they just made a mistake.
So it's technically stealing Hyundai's money, isn't it?
Yeah, if they're writing false work on the the receipt, that is technically, but that wasn't the only issue. Like a week later, I received a recall notice in the mail that was dated prior to that oil change, which means when we went to the dealer, they knew that we had an active recall on our car, but they chose to not mention it whatsoever. So I had to call them again. I had to schedule the recall service, which was a pretty big deal. It had something to do with the engine. Called them. They couldn't get me in for a month, which is fine. I scheduled it, no big deal. The day came, they were supposed to do the recall and a tire rotation for me. They said, oh yeah, it'll take us a couple hours, no big deal. Then they called me a couple hours later and said, oh, by the way, we just found out we don't have the part. We're gonna have to order it, and you're gonna have to come back another day. You knew a month in advance about this. You could have even checked before my appointment time if you had the part.
So we wasted so much time.
We wasted a ton of time on that. But whatever. 2 failures. I just figured it is what it is. However, I forgot something actually. You want to tell them?
사실 저희가 첫 번째 오일 체인지를 하러, 그러니까 이거 차를 사자마자 맨 처음 딜러십에 가서 경험한 건데 저희가 굉장히 충격받았어요. 레이가 이 차를 드롭하는 데다가 주차를 하고 키를 여직원한테 건네주고 그 다음에 안내하는 곳으로 들어갔단 말이에요. 근데 아마 이 직원들이 제가 그 사람들의 대화를 들을 수 있는지 몰랐는지 저희 차에 대해서 뒷담화를 하더라고요. 이 차를 보자마자 여직원 둘이 낄낄낄거리면서 이거 스웨드야? 디자인 병신 같다. 이거 만지면 이거 다 자국 남잖아. 이렇게 낄낄낄 서로 웃고 문을 쾅 닫더라고요. 그 사람들은 몰랐을 거예요. 제가 이 뒷담화 하는 걸 듣고 있는지. 근데 영어로 이렇게 얘기했어요. That's so stupid. Yeah.
And also if they did a car wash for us. But Jin and I really are trying to take very good care of this car, so we only do touchless washing.
Yeah.
However, after they did a car wash without even telling us they were going to do a car wash, we noticed our clear coat is full of scratches.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they did. I really don't like that they did that.
그래서 미국에서 현대차 끄시는 분들 중에 저희처럼 이렇게 헤어 스크래치, 그러니까 좀 실 스크래치 나는 거 싫으신 분들은 절대 자기 차 세차하지 말라고 허락 없이 하셔야 될 것 같아요. 몰랐어요. 지금 완전 클리어 코팅이 다, 물론 폴리싱하면 다 없어지긴 하는데 그래도 기본 문제니까 그게 좀 안타까웠어요. 저희 허락 없이 이렇게 세차를 다 해버린 게.
Another thing too is last time we did an oil change, they didn't reset there's like an oil change alert on your car. So we asked them to please reset that, and the mechanic got into our car without any protection, wearing his oily clothes and just like touched everything and like got his greasy clothes all over our white leather, which is again like very unprofessional. But this isn't the only thing. We went for another oil change recently, our second oil change. I called ahead, I scheduled, I told them I'd be waiting there, and they told me it'd be maximum about an hour and a half. So Jin and I just sat there at the dealership waiting for our oil change. We didn't go on a busy day, it was just a random day. And after an hour and a half goes by, we didn't hear anything. Maybe 20 minutes after that, one of the service workers came out and said, oh, you know, it's just gonna be about another 15, 20 minutes. Hang in there, guys. Sorry about that. So we said, okay. 3 hours later, we find out that somehow they forgot that we needed an oil change. So our car had just been sitting there for 3 hours not being touched. I straight up asked them, when did you find out that you forgot about our car? And they said they found out when they came to tell us it would take 15 to 20 more minutes. And yet, still they forgot about it again. They put our paperwork on the service person's desk and they put other papers on top so they didn't see that we needed to be serviced. That's fine, but I was upset at that point because we had received bad service many times.
3 times in a row.
So I asked them, like, what can you guys do to ensure that next time we come, we're not going to have a bad service? Because it seems like there's a problem here every time we come. And he said, I don't know. What do you want me to do about it? I'm going to just give you the oil change for free.
And also, we heard something that we didn't know when you purchased this car.
I was just about to mention that.
Oil change.
Do you want me to say?
Yeah.
So when we bought the car in Chicago, we were told that the warranty includes free oil changes for the life of the warranty, okay? When we went to the dealership in Minnesota, they said, oh, since it's your first oil change, it's free, but next time you have to pay. And I said, what do you mean we have to pay? We were told it's free. And they said, oh yeah, well, actually Minnesota, you have to pay every other oil change. You must change your oil twice a year and we only give you 1 free oil change. Why? I don't understand. And she said, well, Minnesota is an extreme weather climate, so that's why that happened. And I said, we bought it in Chicago, which has worse weather probably. And she said, no, they have the same thing there. So that's a small thing, but it's frustrating that Hyundai lied to us. So it's not just limited to the Minnesota dealerships though. Where we bought this car from was probably the worst out of all of our situations. I'll briefly explain that when we got this car, we were in contact with the manager of a dealership in Chicago. He was helping to arrange like our pickup times and the payments and everything. When we emailed him, he would often just not email us back. Mind you, we have to coordinate our travel and time off in order to go to Chicago to get the car, right? But he kept ignoring us. We called the dealership many times, nowhere to be found, and they would not transfer us to him. And when we did speak to him, so incredibly unprofessional. I just hope that Hyundai, Kia, any dealership, doesn't even have to be affiliated with Hyundai or Kia, takes their service more seriously, because that is a huge factor for consumers when buying a car. And we love this car. We've been like loyal to Hyundai. We've driven so many Hyundais at this point.
Car's perfect. This is really good. I like this car.
Yeah.
The price is good. The interior is good. The engine is good. Gas mileage is good. Everything is good. And even the warranty on the document is good. But when you actually visit dealerships, I don't know about your states.
Your state could be totally fine.
Yeah.
It's just our experience here.
Minnesota one.
And Chicago. That one Chicago one.
I mean, you go to dealership once to buy a car, but you have to go back like 10 times to do any services. So I want them to like try harder next time. Like we're loyal and we're Korean, so we probably get one more Hyundai if we need another car. But other Americans, if they experience the same situation that we experienced, they're not gonna choose Hyundai or Kia. They're gonna choose Honda or.
And they're gonna tell all their friends,
Yeah.
don't buy a Hyundai. The service sucks. And truthfully, if I were looking at only the car and you asked me, Ray, do you recommend buying the 2023 Hyundai Palisade Calligraphy? I would say 100% yes, because I love the car. I think everything about it has been good so far. It's held up great. We've had zero issues with the car.
When you drive around this car, many people like
Oh yeah, we have so many people like come look at, like we'll be sitting in the car and people come and like knock on the window. Oh, could I ask you about your car?
Yeah.
Even when we went looking at houses and stuff, the real estate agents would be like, oh, that looks so nice. Can you like tell me about your car? So we've had good experiences. However, if you asked me whether or not you should buy this car based solely on the customer service, I could not recommend.
in
and
Minnesota.
in Minnesota. And that sounds very harsh, but I want to be truthful and I'm saying it from a loving place. Hyundai Kia, please. I hope like you accept this with sincerity and try to potentially retrain your staff because it's very frustrating.
As a Korean, I want them to make more money in
Exactly.
America and take all the Americans' money.
We
and-
want a good
yeah.
reputation for Hyundai and Kia. Oh. So
Yeah.
anyway, this is a long video, but every time I get in this car, what do I say?
웨이는 이 차에 운전할 때마다 진짜 농담 아니에요. 운전할 때 이 차 너무 좋아 이러면서
Literally every time.
코스코 갈 때 이 차 너무 좋아. 그리고 눈 올 때 이 차 아니었으면 어쩔 뻔했어. 그래서 진짜 엄청 이 차를 좋아하는 마음에서 하는 말이니까 좀 저희 미네소타 그 딜러십 그 CS 좀 어떻게 좀 이렇게 좀 좋아졌으면 하는 마음에 이 영상을 제작하게 됐습니다.
All right. Well, anyway, I think that about wraps it up. So we'll leave you guys here, but we'll see you next time. Bye.